your SharePoint look rubbish and you want to design a modern, engaging SharePoint intranet using SharePoint Online? So, as a SharePoint designer, I'm going to reveal to you my top 5 secrets of designing a really nice looking homepage on SharePoint, which often include a few tips and tricks that you might not yet be aware of. So starting off at number 1, I'm going to be talking about using spaces. Now what I mean by a spacer is the ability to put in some space above or below a web part within a SharePoint page. Now, what you tend to find when you're building SharePoint intranets is it's not particularly straight cut in the sense that web parts don't just align by magic. Yes, there are some layouts which the web parts just fit nicely into, but other times you tend to find that things just don't quite sit on the page quite as you would like them to. So I'm going to show you on this design how I've actually used spaces to make sure that all of my content aligns. I'm using spaces to make sure that there's enough space in between the 3 dots of this slideshow, for example, and the next section. I'm using spaces to make sure that there's enough kind of header space between this web part, the Parrots web part, and the dividers on the page, and also making sure that the web part itself, the Parrots web part, is in alignment to the kind of content on the left-hand side of the screen. So all we need to do to add some space to the page is edit the page and then add the spacer web part. It's really easy to do. Anywhere on the page that we want to add some space, we can click to add a web part, and then we can either search for spacer or find the spacer web part. And what we can do is, you'll notice that with this little pencil icon, the only property that we've got to specify is whether we want to hide it in mobile view. To actually specify the exact size, we drag it along like this. Now, to be totally honest with you, my direct feedback to Microsoft, because this is just an out-of-the-box Microsoft web part, is that it would be great if we could specify in the properties area the actual pixels, because what you tend to find, although you can see those pixels, it can get a little bit fiddly. And if you need to, and I'll show you an example in a second where we need to have consistent spaces, it can get a little bit fiddly where you have to kind of, I mean, it's jumping around. Say, for example, I'm going from 88 and I want it to go to 90. It's really quite difficult to try and get it to hit that mark. The best I can get it to is 92, for example. So I'm using a spacer below here, just provide a bit of space. I'm also using spacers over here to make sure that these images aren't pinned right to the top of these sections. But I'm also using a spacer here because watch what happens if I remove this spacer and republish the page. To me, I don't like the fact that there is naturally a bit of padding above these kind of 3 dots to choose which slide I want to show, but there's none underneath it, and it just looks a bit odd. I don't like that. So that's why I chose in this particular design to add a spacer underneath it so that it actually looked a bit cleaner on the page. It was just that 16 pixel. But as I say, if you're trying to fiddle around and you're trying to get these exact pixels in place, the only tip I can really give you is, say for example, if we found that it was 16 pixels, which was perfect space for this, what I did is I then duplicated this web part twice and then dragged it like so into the next columns across. Of course, so we want to make sure everyone sees these changes, so we click on that republish button and then everyone will be able to see the changes that we made. And as I say, I'm using spaces in multiple parts, but it is a web part. It's only something you can add to the page. Here, you can't add spaces to, say, the navigation bar across the top. So that's the first design tip. The second tip is the use of transparent logos. Now, what you might have noticed in my intro, and I'll jump back to this in a second, is that I was using a heart emblem as a logo for my SharePoint site. And I tend to find there's nothing worse than having a very blocky type of logo, or even worse, say for example the background color is that black that we're using, but our logo has got a white box around it. There's nothing worse than having a blocky logo. So let me show you what it could look like compared to how I've actually designed it. All too often I see logos like this where they're blocks, they're white squares against a solid colored background, and it just looks awful. It looks dated. It makes it look like a really old version of SharePoint. It just doesn't look great at all. And what I would advise is that you look to use a transparent background for your logo. So say for example, if you imagine that I wouldn't use black in this case, for example. I would use a much lighter color, like the white, for example. And actually, I would then make this transparent so that the logo was to sit on top of it. So let's say, for example, now I was to upload a new logo. So to upload a new logo, all I need to do is click on the cog, click on change the look, theme, sorry, not theme, header. And then down here, I just need to click on the change. I didn't save this before, so it's not changed just yet. Upload my logo and then click on save. And then you can see now I've used this. Although this is a square image, it's still a square. The background is transparent and I'm using this kind of heart logo. I've gone with the brand name of kind of the heart for my intranet. And you might even notice subtly some of the imagery that I'm using has got hearts inside of that as well. But I tend to find that this particular heart emblem with the kind of sort of glow, the light on one side of it, stands out really nicely against that kind of black backdrop, and the red, the bright red and the black works really well together. So that was our second top tip. Now the third tip is actually around list styling. Now a lot of people use SharePoint lists and even embed them into their SharePoint pages, but they don't actually go at looking out how to style them and make them look better. Now, this top tip is actually coming from this week's sponsor, Plumsail, and they're going to show you how their particular tool, which is a third-party product from SharePoint, can style your SharePoint lists. So let's take a look. To ensure smooth and clear experience for your site members, do not overlook the design of SharePoint list forms. Default SharePoint forms can often appear clumsy and cause confusion. I highly recommend trying out Plumsail forms to customize SharePoint forms in every possible way. Just look at this form customized with Plumsail forms. It looks neat, divided into logical steps. This form is easy to navigate and fill out. The lookup dropdown looks amazing with additional information and pictures of the managers. Multi-level cascading dropdowns allow choosing only from relevant options. And the address is filled in automatically. With Plumsail Forms list or library controls, you can conveniently combine multiple lists or document libraries and edit all information in a single form. On display forms, it's handy to filter lists or library controls to display only information related to a specific person. And group items, for example, by their status. All this can be easily configured in a handy drag and drop, and advanced features are available out of the box. Feel free to try Plumsail Forms with a 30-day free trial using the link below in the video description. And if you decide to subscribe, use the promo code Dougie for a 10% discount on your first year's subscription. Thanks for that, Plumsail. That was really interesting. Let's move on to the next top tip. So we've got dividers. Now, what do we mean by dividers? Now, you might have noticed on the design that I'm using, I've got some white dividers, which are lines essentially, which sit again above or below a web part, which makes it easy to sort of for the end user to understand that content has changed, that it's no longer the same type of content, it's not the same web part, and the context of the text or the information that they're viewing has changed. So let's jump in and take a look. Now, the dividers that I have on the page are actually being used on the right-hand side here. So you can see there's a white line here, there's a white line here, and here, and here. Now, they are fully responsive, which means that we can use them anywhere on the page. To add a new one, all we need to do is click on the edit button. And then if I scroll down, I can click anywhere that I can add a web part. I can click on here. And then either searching for divider or just look for the divider web part here. And there we go, we can add it. We can change this. So if we don't want it to be a full width, and actually I've seen this being used in the past before as something much smaller but thicker. So let's say, for example, we've got this little divider here, and we can change the weighting of it so we can make it much thicker. Then we click on republish. That's then provided as that little divider. Now this doesn't look great because I'm actually using different colors of the sections to help users understand that the content's changed. But say, for example, if I wasn't, let's just make this section a bit darker. Let's make it like dark. And you can see the dividers actually know what color you're using, and it will kind of adjust its color itself based on the kind of how dark the background is. If I republish, now you can see that divider is actually a lot more useful than actually it was before, because now actually I'm using the same background color for those different sections. So the users know that the sort of context, the content has actually changed. So that was our fourth tip, is using dividers. They're nice and easy to add. As I say, we can make them different widths, we can make them different weights, how thick they are, and they're really useful for making sure that end users of your intranet know that content is changing as they're kind of scrolling through it. And my final tip for SharePoint design on this video is about embedding Power Apps. Now, you might have seen briefly before that I have a Power App embedded onto my intranet. Now, why would you do this from a design perspective? Now, we all know that SharePoint is kind of defined by its user experience. What I mean by that is that you can't go too nuts with the design. You are bound by what you can do with out of the box versions of SharePoint. So a common way that you can customize the user experience is to create a Canvas Power App and then embed it into your SharePoint page. So let's jump back in and take a look at the example that I've got on my SharePoint design. So in my SharePoint site, you can see here, I've actually embedded a Canvas app, which is for expense requests. Now, this is because it's quite advanced functionality in which that people can actually search through and see all of their different expense requests and even dive directly into them and see the full details, all from the SharePoint page. They can even go and submit a brand new expense request if they wanted to. Again, all from the SharePoint page. They don't have to actually go into the Power App itself or bounce out away from it. Now, there's loads of different reasons why you might want to do this. It just gives you a one-stop shop kind of feeling to have all of that functionality built into your intranet. But once you've got your Canvas app built, which of course is a different kettle of fish going away and building that, but once you've got that, all you need to do is get the URL of that Power App, come back into your SharePoint site, and then add a Power Apps web part. Now all you need to do is click on that plus button, search for Power Apps, add your Microsoft Power Apps web part to the page, and then paste in the URL of your web part. You can then choose whether or not you want to show a border. So if I just jump to this, for example, you can see this is the URL of my Power App. I can choose whether or not I want to show a bit of a border around it or not. And also you can choose what size it is. So you can actually sort of use this kind of box to make it bigger or smaller, depending on how you want it to fit onto your page. Of course, then once you're happy with that, all you need to do is click on the republish button. I'm actually just going to click on discard changes just because I've messed around a bit with the sizing there. And there you go. There's your Power App now embedded onto your page. So you've got that advanced functionality built directly into your SharePoint page. A lot of people do this because things like with SharePoint lists built onto a page or a document library or buttons or things like that don't necessarily always get the full functionality of what you want it to achieve. Whereas actually embedding your Power App into the page can take that kind of functionality a step forward. If you want to learn how you can modernize your own SharePoint site yourself, if you go to my YouTube channel and click on membership, I have a members only section of content, which is only 99p a month. So it's not going to break the bank, but there's 2 dedicated training courses. One which will give you the basics of SharePoint from beginning to end, but also there's a full course showing you how to build out your own intranet yourself in a 3-part series, which we cover all of these design top tips and much more to get your intranet homepage looking really, really good. And as always, subscribe to my channel, like this comment, and if you've got any questions at all, you can post them below. Here's one final word from this week's sponsor, Plumsail. Plumsail Forms is a solid choice for customizing SharePoint forms. Plumsail has other tools to amp up your Microsoft platform and SharePoint. There's stuff for automated document creation, an online form builder, ticketing solution, and org charts for SharePoint. For more details, the link to the website is down below in the description. They're offering a 1-month free trial on all their tools, and here's a little bonus for you. Use the coupon code Dougie to get 10% of your first year of a Plumsail product.